The Party Poker Big Game stops around the world for Season 7, and for the next 12 hours we're in the stunning location of Northern Cyprus at the Merit Crystal Cove Hotel and Casino. With a reputation of being the most talked about cash game in poker, the Big Game is notorious for seeing player bust-ups, tears and tantrums, and some of the sickest hands ever played on TV. Things look set to be no different here in Cyprus with this juicy lineup.
Some of the biggest names in the game ready for some fun and action, including Sam Trickett, Jungleman, Dan Cates, and Dominik Nitsche, plus a host of local players.
Lucky number 6, good seat.
All my life I bluff. I bluff to my wife, I bluff to everybody.
It's just so funny.
Can we change the dealer?
I gotta stop. I can't even win a pot.
Everybody wants to bluff me.
I can only beat a bluff, bro.
Good news.
I had to do it one time.
Take me for a chicken.
It's gonna look pretty bad.
Oh my God. What was this?
When you're talking about high-stakes live cash games, one of the first names that's going to come up is Sam Trickett. Sam, you've played some enormous games. Talk to me about some of the biggest pots you've won and lost.
I've been unlucky in the biggest pots I've played, to be honest. But yeah, it's obviously when it's out in Macau when I play there, lines are tend to be 10,000, 20,000 Hong Kong. You know, I've played some a few pots over 20 million Hong Kong, so you can imagine how it's how hard it is to deal with losing those pots. But you know, it's been good to me out in Macau, so I can't complain too much.
It must really focus the mind when you're playing for that amount of money. Do you find it more relaxing to be sitting down and playing still high stakes here, but less high stakes?
Yeah, I feel there's no pressure here. I'm here to enjoy myself. I've played this, I think, the last 3 times. I've really enjoyed myself. Done all right in it as well. I've won probably 2 and lost 1, I think. So made a bit of money too and had a good fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Have you had a look at the lineup? We've got a bit of a mix in there.
Yeah, I have an idea. There's Dominik Nitsche and Jungleman. I know that decent players. I think I've run pretty bad with a seat draw. From what I've looked so far, Dominik Nitsche picked the card straight after me on number 2. So I would have preferred a better seat, but I'm not too fussed. I'm pretty confident.
So what are you going to be buying in for, and how many bullets do you think?
I'm buying for the maximum, and then don't tell anyone this, but I only have $30,000. So I'm hoping to win with that. If I go bust, I've got to get someone for some money. I'm sure I can get someone. I don't know who yet.
Well, Sam is buying in for the maximum. Let's take a look at what the others are buying in for.
Sam Trickett will start with 20,000. He is poker's cash game elite. Starting with 10,000 is Dominik Nitsche, WPT and WSOP winner. He's a rising star. European jet setter and poker personality Big Raj, starting with 20,000. One of the biggest online poker winners in history, the Jungleman Dan Cates, sitting down with 20K. Russian cash game player Alexey Rybin starts with 20,000, as does compatriot Alexander Nelkin. Head of marketing for Merit Poker, Robert Peltekci, sitting down with 20K. He knows the players. How will he stack up against them? And rounding out this cash game field is Nikolay Blinov with 15K.
Welcome to the Party Poker Big Game. Our players have bought in for a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of $20,000. There are unlimited rebuys, and the blinds are 50 and 100. But of course, this is the big game, so expect the rules to change. Also, the online viewers will be voting off their least favorite players throughout the game. Your 12 hours of play starts now. Good luck.
Gorgeous location here in North Cyprus for the Party Poker Big Game 7, and an atmosphere of heavy gambling. Superstars round this table, including big game stalwart Sam Trickett, the second most winning poker player of all time. Dominik Nitsche on his left, who just recently won a World Series of Poker bracelet and also won the WPT Johannesburg. And familiar face on the European tour, Big Raj, Hairabedian. Plays a lot in Paris and Morocco. And then on his left, he needs really no introduction. It's the Jungleman, who is pretty much the winningest internet poker player of all time. Used to just stay in his room. Now he's a world traveler galore. I'm thrilled to be joined by a big game veteran and a Premier League poker veteran, Ben Carpenter from the UK. Welcome, Ben.
Nice to be here.
What do you make of Sam Trickett's rise? I mean, most people are talking about him now as the best cash no limit hold'em player in the world, or at least in that conversation. You think he's earned that?
I spoke to him a lot the last few weeks, and he certainly believes it.
Playing with a lot of confidence.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were talking about his game, and he told me that he thinks he's streets ahead of anyone, even Ivy.
6-4, call, 600. 6-5, call, 600.
I mean, amazingly, his results in the big games have been quite poor. I believe he won in big game 5 in Vienna, but he had to dig himself out of a mammoth hole. And I think both him and Jungleman feel like the big game is their bogeyman. I know they're intent on having a big result here.
Sit 1.
Pretty nice flop
Bet.
for Sam Trickett, the old top and bottom pair on the Queen 5.
Sit 4. Pass. 1-4.
Sweet life.
Always.
Sit 5. Call.
And Rybin's gone for a check call with the pocket 3s. I guess you just do that hoping to get a free card on the turn.
Looks more like a float.
There's a possible straight out there, but Trickett's just going to barrel this, right?
Yeah, I mean, Rybin may check raise. Wouldn't be a bad spot to.
Sit 1. Bet. 3,200.
But Trickett's going nowhere, I don't think.
In fact, with starting stacks of 20,000, if Rybin does want to make a raise here, he's nearly got to go for the stack. And how'd you know that?
I play poker for a living.
Is this a good play?
Yeah.
And is it polarized enough that Trickett can only beat a bluff, or is there any value hands here that he can beat, you think?
It's a good player to do it against Trickett because he's not dumb enough to just jam it in with a bad 2 pair. He's going to think it through and maybe even fold.
So Alexey Rybin testing Trickett early. I know it's 2 pair, but it's not clear cut this raise here, is it?
That was a great turn for Rybin. I mean, if the turn's like a deuce, you can never get him off, so.
What a play. Is Trickett regretting the fact that he's... Have a bit of that.
Sit number 5. Pass.
I forgot this was like chicken feed to Trickett, so.
That's a boring game.
I mean, you know, when Trickett says he's streets ahead, do you think also he's good at reading players? I mean, is it possible that he got a read off Rybin, or we'll just sort of, we'll see as it goes on?
It is possible, yeah, but it's probably more just to do with the fact that he could be bluffing, you know. Trickett doesn't want to look silly on TV, so.
Are you okay?
Alexey Rybin called out rebuy, and just a general feeling I get, this is my second time in North Cyprus, I've had a look at the games. I don't think Rybin is going to be a one-and-done type of player. When these guys come, they come to play.
Yeah, they seem to have bottomless pockets, these guys.
Saturday over here, so it's going to be good.
Is it good to party around here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because we have good people here partying with us.
Do you live here?
Now, go back and forth to LA too.
Making that much money from the poker?
Raise 700.
You moved here?
Not really from poker.
Pass.
I'm throwing away my money in poker.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Pass.
When I can't find the fish that day, I become it for this. For you guys.
But that's a word you hear all the time here in North Cyprus, party. I mean, this place...
Pass.
Alexey, you want to take my money.
Sit number 5.
Go ahead, Alexey.
Call.
Well, you got to get it back from somebody.
The Crystal
You gotta get
Cove,
it back from
famous
someone,
for
so
the
that's
player
it.
parties. I was at the one last year. I think they had flown over a bunch of DJs from America for it. It was out on the beach. Fairly crazy.
Sit number 5. Check. Sit 7. Bet. 1,200. Sit 5. Call. 1,200.
You can't bluff, Alexey.
So Peltekci's made a continuation bet here. He
No
raised
chance.
pre-flop,
No two chance.
and Rybin is just sort of like, he's in there trying to get him off this pair of eights.
Check. Check.
That's a huge action card.
Yeah.
That's for you.
That's
Oh
the
my,
action
yeah.
card. Gosh, I kind of feel bad for Peltekci.
How deep are they?
Sit 5. Bet. 2,500.
Well, Rybin's let out. I mean,
Please let me have the ace of hearts.
it'd be weak of Peltekci not to raise, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what do you think?
I know I have an ace, but I'm not sure if it's the heart or it's not.
He's never putting Rybin on a set because of the way he played it on the flop on such a draw-heavy board. So
Raise.
I wouldn't think he ever has a house. So I'll definitely raise.
Huh?
8,000.
Call.
Sit 5. All in.
This is going to be ugly early for Robert Peltekci.
Pull.
Oh my God.
He cannot believe his eyes.
What? Holy crap, what is this? Are you serious?
Kind of a cooler.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
a bit.
Oh my God.
Roger in seat 3 would have lost about 2K
full
in that
houses?
hand though.
Come on, Alexey. Oh my God. What? Not too much, man.
I mean, you can wonder. You can wonder about the wisdom of
13,900.
Oh my God.
if he's going
I
to
can't
raise on the
believe it.
river, maybe he has to be prepared to fold to the re-raise, but also perhaps they're just not deep enough yet this
13?
early in.
13,900.
13-9?
Yes.
Man, I thought you were my dealer, Angela. What happened?
Nothing happened. I'm still young.
I turned it over like I can't be beat. I was waiting for him to pay me. Oh my God, Alexey, what'd you do? Can we change the dealer? What's going on here? Okay. I don't mind losing to him. No problem. Because he's a good casino player. He's going to lose it back in the casino. Oh, you won last time?
You know the game is on the square when one of the guys who's affiliated with the casino comes in and gets coolered for $20,000 straight off, you know?
Okay, no problem. Chinese is the small money. The big money you took in roulette, so that's okay.
And he's added $10,000, Robert Peltekci.
All righty, needless to say.
Roulette player on the table, yeah.
Wow.
Why you said about my roulette game?
Straddle.
Why
200.
you always call me now? No more
It's
bluff.
better for you. It's better for you.
Roulette player can play good in poker.
Wow.
Only runner.
Pass.
I kind of feel bad. I don't know about you, but, you know, the first hour or two of this
600.
game is always just kind of like, you know, players waking up and kind of getting into the rhythm, getting more money on the table for the really big action to come.
Yeah, it's impossible to have a huge hand early on, but I've been here 10 minutes and there's been two all in. So.
Do something about it.
6-7. Call. 600.
Kind of feel like the action will be fierce.
How do I see that?
You let you get away with it
twice.
Sam Trickett has opened this pot up, and Robert Peltekci has called in the straddle position.
1. Bet. 800.
King 8 and some hearts, huh?
Pass.
That's you, Alexey.
I know that. I know you like it,
Yeah.
We will be playing this big game for a minimum of 12 hours. And have a look at the
Change this for me.
stack so far. Of course, Sam Trickett had 11,000 euros and Peltekci down 16,000 early. However, it's really about looking at the stacks on the table so far. Looks like we've got just about $150,000 on this table. Let's make a prediction that that's going to at least double in the next 3 hours. What do you think?
Straddle.
Yeah, all close, definitely.
I warrant to link me the link for the live stream.
I think you really have to sit with 20K as well on this table.
Let me know when you got it.
you know, in a 50-100 game, which is really what they're playing, it's 200 big blinds. But with the straddle, 50, 100, 200, now you're down to playing basically 100 big blind for everybody. So it almost feels like there's not enough money for the river until these stacks get deeper.
Yeah.
It's like a cap game.
Oh, except that one time.
You don't want to feel short against the weaker players either. You don't want to feel like, you know,
6, 7.
they can just shove you off with flush draws and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's 30.
Sam Trickett making a 3x raise. It looks like Trickett's basic philosophy right now is just to get in every single pot.
Like
3, 4 of hearts, queen, 5 of hearts. And Peltekci's taking a 3-bet in. 2,100. 7-3 offsuit.
This is never good, but it seems to work.
That's for you. That's a gift for you.
You had me dominated, I promise.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I had to do it one time. I lost 20K already, so I have to make a bluff.
We're back from a gorgeously hot Cyprus after the break with more from the Party Poker Big Game. This has to be the most idyllic setting for the Party Poker Big Game yet. Whilst I catch the rays by the sea here in northern Cyprus, the action is hotting up in the casino as our players settle in to the big game.
Blinds here 50-100 with an optional 200 straddle. Most players buying in for $20,000.
Pass. Pass. 6, 5. Call.
I think Peltekci is trying to build a little bit of an image. And it's not like he's inexperienced in the big cash game world. He runs around with the Mizrachi brothers, spends a lot of time at the tables in LA. He's plays in the private home games. He's
3 players.
I think he's what they call a baller, supreme.
Yeah, he's definitely a baller. When you own a casino, you're clearly a baller.
Check. Check. Check.
So this was Alexey Rybin.
I think he limped.
He limped for the 200.
Check.
Not much happening then.
Trickett will lead this, yeah.
Sit well. Bet. 700.
Well, we'll see what Blinov's up to. This is the first hand we've really seen him play. And he's got middle pair, sort of, and the nut flush draw. Would it be wrong to raise?
No, I wouldn't.
Sit 8. Raise. 1,008.
It's probably better than calling.
Sit well. Pass.
There you go, I lost the pot, didn't I?
So Blinov showing he's got a bit of game too.
Because I haven't played one.
You like that, a guy who sits there for a couple hands, then comes in sort of check raising with the draw. Good sign, right?
Yeah, you got to work with your image, right?
I never catch anyways. So.
8 players, 5 of them ahead.
Pass.
I don't know.
And 3 behind.
Pass.
Exciting.
Come on, Big Raj. Has he moved his chip yet?
That tournament in
I got used to that.
$5,300.
This is how you play in France. You just fold.
I have the feeling Big Raj is willing to sit here for like 5 days if necessary. He's sort of got that, you know, I can stay and play sort of aura about him.
I feel like as a professional poker player, I should have to play.
Yeah. Are you
But
serious?
what value is that there?
Sit 2. Call.
Nobody's going either because they can't be bothered.
First pot Nitsche's played here. He's in the straddle position.
No one will sell anyway.
And Rybin's actually in a nice spot because he's played so many hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Obviously, he's
But I
much...
want to play myself too.
Yeah, I want to put people in that.
But
Check.
But I don't know anyone in the middle.
it's going to cost you like 10K though. To put someone in that, it costs 10K. If you like, well, for me, flying from England and whatever, you're in hotel.
Oh, really?
It's quite far. So.
Check.
Standard c-bet here with the queens. He's checked it back. You like that as well?
I wouldn't
Not on
stake
that
people,
board,
I'd try
no.
to, like, by action somehow.
I feel like
I mean, you could easily lose the hand now,
It's hard
whereas
to get
before.
a free roll in this kind of situation.
He probably just didn't want to get check raised
There's a
because
lot of variance.
he's in a horrible spot then.
But Nitsche almost always wins this if he goes, even if he misses, if he goes bet,
I know I should
it's
go.
pretty hard for Rybin to call, isn't it?
Pass.
Macau.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should
but
just sort of.
10 million
I don't know,
in
I think-
Florida. It's near
yeah, you
Florida.
should just
can go
sort of
to Disneyland
side bet.
afterwards. It's nice.
I heard that there was there were two.
Yeah, I think
two big
that's
games.
like
There's the big
definitely
game
a mistake to check that queen's there.
that everyone could get into, but it's not very good. And a lot of pros playing that game. And then there's like the private big game that only like the only person that plays in that is Tom, basically.
2 Russians there,
Yeah.
and there's
Kind of true.
a bit tight here early on.
Tom gets in all the good, like the best games.
How does he do it?
Pass.
We're around that side of the table.
This is great.
Yeah, but he's like just
Sit
fishy
one,
enough to
raise
be like
600.
to be
And
like a
Trickett
winner,
relieved
but
to
he's
finally
like,
pick up something here.
Sit 3.
He's been playing
Call.
he like has a
quite a
clue,
few
doesn't he?
hands,
Like,
and now has a
Sit
premium
4,
pair.
Call. 600.
He just seems to win in all the big when the game
Three
gets big and
players.
lose when the game's small. It's like maybe he's a genius.
Maybe, I don't know. He's got the power.
Check.
Not the best flop for the
That's
jacks,
on you.
but it is the best
It's not on
hand.
you,
Oh, I
Sam.
didn't see your cards.
I'll check anyways.
Check.
Trickett acting out of turn, didn't realize Jungleman was in the hand. Sort of a role reversal from the Premier League when the Jungleman kept acting out of turn.
Yeah, he gets saying he gets in.
Check.
He's got,
It is
he's
checked
got the golden
around.
seat in.
Sit 4. Bet 1,300.
It's a clever check by Trickett on the flop because it's induced the bluff here from Daniel Cates. Really no way Trickett can think about folding here after the passive way he's played this on the flop.
Sit 1. Call. 1,300.
Of all the players at this table, it is Trickett and
Sit 3.
Cates who have
Pass.
the deepest TV relationship anyway. They've played lots of hands together, and they're friends off the table, but on it, they really tie each other in knots. Let's see if Cates wants to go again. He usually does. He's not a man to shrink from the bluff opportunity when there's money out there.
Sit 4. Bet 2,100. Sit 1. Call.
No one has a style
they got.
quite
Shut
like
down, please.
Jungleman,
What
but
you have?
caught bluffing here.
Your pair of queens. Or two
I don't
pairs.
have a queen.
You don't have a queen? No way. Oh, I got this.
Sam says you're not getting off that easy, Ken.
God.
You definitely
Show me the cards
Wow,
if you
that
want to
was a
see
bad
mine.
How did he do it?
Daniel Cates seems
That's a good
to
extra
own
so
him
far.
for no particular reason. And
Yeah, there is a reason.
he's a good player.
yeah. He probably knows every stat on Sam as well.
Out turn.
So I
Sit
think
raise.
The only person acting intern now. It's really strange.
Now I'm confused.
It's on you.
I know.
Sit
Jungleman's a
raise,
really unusual player. Like his
550.
bet sizes are just huge. He always bets like 80% par. People just don't do that, but it seems to work out for him. So
he is definitely a man with his own mind and game. And those green chips are only worth $25 each, so I believe it was just a call there from Alexey.
Cut down and she was open. Okay.
Waited that
Sit
long to
6.
make the raise, huh?
Raise.
It was ready, still to stop.
2015. Pass.
Forgot what I have.
Pass.
It took so long.
So meanwhile, this pot, I believe,
Pass.
it was three-way. Now, what's happened here is Nelkin has made the re-raise with the 2 10s. And has Rybin? Rybin's just called. He had like nothing, right? He said this is a float from the button. He's floating the 3-bet. I believe he's got 6-7. Oh, he's actually flopped a huge hand here. Considering that he's actually got...
Sit 6. Bet
8 outs against the 2 10s. And every chance they're going to stack off here, Ben? Up and down straight draw against the 10s, overpair?
I personally prefer a call because then you can bet the flush as well. Like, I'm not wanting to get it in here with 6-7, but it's definitely possible.
6-5. Call. 3,000.
Link Warren also doesn't work.
I personally think against this field, you want to be flipping as, like, the less you can flip, the better.
He has just called. You have more of a chance to win it on the turn.
Yeah.
Even if you miss. And he's agreed. And what about Nelkin?
Check. Check.
Has he made a hash of this already, Nelkin?
Yeah, no. Okay. He's going to check call.
Check.
Unless he goes huge.
Well, this pot 11,000.
You should bet.
Rybin is obviously a very creative player. We've already seen him make the check raise against Trickett with the 2 3s on a massive board.
6-5.
And now,
Bet.
the way he's played this 6-7, this guy is going to be a handful.
8,200.
Very tough to fold here if you're Nelkin,
tough to
isn't
call
it?
too.
Hasn't he kind of underrepresented his hand in a sense?
This is where you, in like 2005, you'd see people just disconnecting with the disconnect protect. Just turn their hands over.
How curious is he? I'm imagining that these two have a little bit of history together, both being local players. Well, you don't have to play with Rybin long to know that he's capable of a lot of things. But is he capable of making a value bet here with a hand that's worse than 2 10s?
Yeah, would he bet the missed diamonds like this?
8,200.
Nelkin has called and Rybin shows him the bad news.
That's a tough spot.
And he is gone from being the early loser, Rybin, to now I believe the big winner. Nelkin in the hole.
For sure. This is Alexey, man. Cannot bluff this guy.
Well, this may be the first time that we've seen Alexey Rybin on the big game, but he's clearly got a reputation.
You can't have more than
You can't bluff this guy, says Robert Peltekci. And Alexey Rybin, $44,000 on the table, Ben, and already ahead 20,000. Big losers right now, Nelkin and Peltekci stuck, but there's going to be a lot of money on this table.
Yeah.
And remember, there's going to be evictions from this table. Big waiting list. Players due to come on, including some big names. Understand the Mizrachis are in town.
If I gave you free card, that should be
Sit 2. Raise.
Sure. I could probably guess who the first eviction might be.
Pass.
That's a guy. I wonder. We'll see. We'll see.
Pass.
I guess you're talking about Big Raj.
Yeah, of
because
course.
he hasn't moved to chip yet.
Or said a word. So.
He is a bit of fun, though. The players like playing with him. I'll say that.
Pass.
Although I'm not sure why. He does seem kind of glued to that chair right now.
Because he folds down to one big blind, Jesse.
You can't do that in a cash game.
I wouldn't put it past him.
3 players.
So the big 3 in this pot, Trickett, Cates, and Nitsche.
Check. Sit 2. Bet. 1,100. Sit 4.
Unusual for Nitsche to be opening under the gun with a weak hand. I don't think the players expect that, do they?
No, he's playing quite snug.
And Daniel Cates has flattered him here. Bingo. Let's see if he can hang the Jungleman. Better off overall to lead out or check raise?
Yeah, bet. I mean, I don't think there's any way Jungle's folding this turn. He wouldn't call the flop to fold the turn here.
Why do you say that?
I just don't think he's going to fold.
You just leave it now there?
Like, he's not calling to hit an ace or a jack. He's calling to make a play on a later street. So I'd definitely bet, get more money in the pot. If you check raise, you're pretty face up for a big hand. So.
You see his eyes roll. It's interesting. Is
6-4.
and Jungleman
He
with
just
the
folds
quick
straight up.
hand face up on the turn at least.
That is a weird line to call the flop and then fold the turn.
Well, things going well for Nitsche. I think it's 3 pots played, 3 pots won for this young phenom from, well, he's from Germany, but he's really a world citizen. Most of his friends are in the poker world are sort of English, Scottish, American, and all over. And he's now living in London. And he says to me that he's about to move to Edinburgh.
That whole group lives in Edinburgh, I think.
Yeah, a lot of his friends, Rupert Elder, David Van Plu, a lot of the young guys on the circuit.
C3, race.
They all had a house together in Las Vegas this summer. I asked Dominik why they hadn't come out to Cyprus with him. He said they have no heart.
He's replacing Tony G.
Actually, David Van Plu, one of the young British players who's had a fantastic summer out in Las Vegas. Came, I believe, 3rd in a World Series of Poker event.
Pass.
I think he got 2 seconds, but
Was it
I'm
2
not sure
seconds?
about that. Yeah, yeah.
So I've just given him a huge rub down.
Yeah. Which is good and bad, I guess.
Bingo for Jungleman. And Big Raj, excuse me, has kind of defended this from the straddle position and now let out. So that's a bit of a wrinkle, isn't it?
I think that's the last chip he's putting in this pot.
C4, race.
And
27.
you would say weird to do anything but call here, so Jungleman's found a raise. Is this sort of the...
I might raise it too, because Roger's been so tight that like you always put him on a good hand. So if he had, say, kings or queens here, he could easily stack off.
Give him a chance to put money in the pot when he thinks he's ahead?
Yeah.
And any chance that Big Raj is going to consider that Cates is at it? Oh,
well,
man.
it's Cates.
Look at this.
He must have heard what I said about him getting evicted.
Oh, Roger, don't play with the jungle.
C3, race.
Is this part of why the Junglemen are so dangerous?
Yeah, I would definitely call here.
It's a funny sort of spot, isn't it? Because if we hadn't seen Big Roger's cards, as we do, it's almost impossible to consider, if you're at the table, that he's bluffing.
Yeah. I think if Jungle had a 7, he'd definitely fold.
He's already stuck $6,000. I mean, there was no money in this pot.
C4, all in. C3, pass.
So Jungleman, he went for it. He didn't think. He thought perhaps Roger had a straight draw or something like that and was going to have to call at the very worst.
Yeah, I think he probably thought he had an overpair with it being Roger and that he was going to call him.
So Big Roger gets frisky, but Jungleman not going for it. And with that, he's back to even. And for Hairabedian, it's a funny sort of play. There was only $1,000 in that pot before the flop, and he stuck $6,000 in on the flop trying to win it.
The sun is still blazing here in northern Cyprus, but the players are on lockdown with 12 hours on the clock and big pots to be won and lost. We're back from the Marriott Crystal Cove Hotel and Casino for more after this. Welcome back to Northern Cyprus for the second stop of Season 7. We'll be playing long into the night as players face the highs and the lows of the Party Poker Big Game. And of course, there's our unique player evictions, where the online viewers have the power to change the lineup and boot someone right out of the game. Let's head back inside to the Merit Crystal Cove Hotel and Casino.
There's a place that's too crazy for
Robert Peltekci is topped up for another $5,000. He doesn't want to be caught short stacked on this table. I know how that feels.
Huh?
That's too crazy. They couldn't handle him.
It was way crazier than I thought I'd be. I went there by myself, and there's not much English there, so I was like...
they're all right.
He's not the best travel agent in the world. Jungleman. When he came to Marrakesh, he had a mix-up with his flights and got stuck in Libya for like 17 hours. It was the only flight he could find. He was in Tripoli or something, all alone.
If anyone needs a PA, it's Jungleman.
I mean, how do you go to Libya on your way to Morocco? I have no idea. But there was Jungleman
it wasn't fun.
sitting on the Tripoli tarmac.
It was really crazy.
Check.
What a life! Has he got the bullets?
Oh, check. Never check.
Even Roger's got a read on it. Wow.
Single person there also. So I was like...
yeah, that always sucks.
I met a taxi driver that speaks Spanish.
Still got him to bed
They're working me out, these guys.
And so is this a check call by Trickett with a plan to check raise the turn, or is it a plan to just kind of let Roger walk the dog in a sense?
That's a horrible card for Trickett. And Roger.
Check.
This could get checked out.
I'd love to see Roger bluff him off.
Come on, Big Raj.
How much is it bet?
Let me check.
Check.
Surely he bets now. You cannot check back here if you're Roger.
Check.
Yeah, I was confused.
Doesn't have enough showdown value.
Oh man, yeah.
Showdown.
Yeah, who has to show? Is it last aggressor or check? Who has to show? Is it last aggressor or?
It's Trickett, I think.
He wants to see Rick Raj's head. No, he's just finding out. So it is last aggressor. And now these two have a lot of history. Oh, that's it. Oh, wow. He's got the needle.
So when he checks, he's got aces.
See, when I check, I've got aces.
The best part on the roost, let me check. How much is the
I was being honest.
I know
Need to know if I got aces spades.
You can still check the other spades.
I will
No,
check
don't do
anyway,
that.
I think. I was going to check anyway. Maybe. Nah, I wouldn't.
He didn't want to give Big Roger and the rest of the table the information about how he played the aces.
Kind of obvious, wasn't it?
No choice now.
Legitimate spade check.
Well, Alexey Rybin, the big winner, and you can't
anyway.
say he hasn't deserved it,
No, I
though.
would bet there for that time. Huh? I would have
He's
bet
certainly
that
got a very unorthodox game, hasn't he?
But yeah, the ace
against
is
you. I
spades.
wouldn't.
Yeah, it's good to have a game where you mix it up a lot.
Like, no idea what's
People
going
just pay you
on.
off.
And like 6-4 suited or something.
Yeah, oh, that's a good card. That's a good card.
Again, like no hair product with Alexey.
Sit pass.
200 is the straddle out from Peltekci.
Pass. Pass.
This game sort of...
Inflation.
Oh, Peltekci forgot the straddle.
Straddle. We gotta put some money there.
Are they playing a compulsory straddle?
I think it's optional, and if Tony G were here, he'd have turned the table over by now. Someone forgetting their straddle.
Go.
What's happening here, right?
Pass.
Quite sure that Robert Peltekci just forgot.
Yeah, you can definitely afford it.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, are they allowed to double straddle, or do you know what they've agreed, or?
I think just one straddle's allowed in this casino.
Okay.
Although probably nothing to stop them from making dead straddles. Just the one straddle is live. And Kate's mixing it up here from the button against Rybin. This is going to be a fun relationship to see as time goes on.
Check.
course, in the days of internet poker, Daniel Cates won about, I don't know, $5 million or more playing on the internet. Now he's plays a lot more of the live game, and that overbet on the river, did you see? He smashed that pot.
Yeah, I would have been impressed if Rybin had called that. Jungleman often overbet bluffs, I noticed. You just feel like such an idiot when you call there and he just like, obviously a turn.
But, I mean, definitely a play that's in those great players' arsenals, that sort of thing, so people know that they're capable of having the nuts or nothing in that spot.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful hotel, though. I mean, even for those who are familiar with the term all-inclusive, I don't think that there should be sort of extra all-inclusive. This is kind of all-inclusive with the kitchen sink here at this place.
Yeah,
You've come 3 times, Ben. You quite like
this year, it really is all-inclusive.
I just sort of caught you on your 7th plate of food last night. It was sort of
That was the first, Jesse. That was the first. Yeah.
It was my 7th.
The food is good.
It is very healthy, too. I mean, tremendous salads, grilled meats.
It's great, because the only thing that's bad is the dessert, so, you know.
Peltekci's opened this one up early on. And Nikolay Blinov has called just behind him with a better ace. Kind of feel like Nikolay Blinov is a bit rocky pre-flop, and then post-flop maybe he gets a bit creative. This is going to be fun.
Check.
2 players with the top pair.
Check. Check.
Funny check?
No, I don't mind it.
Sort of like you're never going to get 3 streets of value, so you try and go for 2.
Peltekci, it's good to trap Peltekci. And you're losing less against hands that have got you crossed, like ace-9, ace-4 sets.
No bluff. I say no bluff, and still he calls. Oh my God.
I think on the list of the last people at the table you want to call you, Blinov is kind of at the top of it. Oh, what a huge card for Peltekci, huh?
Check.
Split pot now. Out of jail. There is a value bet here for Blinov, even though it's a split pot, isn't it?
Yeah. Or he could. I don't think he's going to do this, but he could even try and just bet him off the same hand. If he bet like 5k, he could get him to fold.
Call.
Well, then again, it's Peltekci, maybe.
It is a split pot. He's got a diamond ring, 2 diamond earrings.
What a life.
A watch with 50 diamonds on it. A big gold chain with a cross, and he says he's on a downgrade.
They should maybe set up like a half-half game.
Yeah, we do that.
That's good fun.
I'll play as well.
Isn't Jungleman kind of the guy who's sort of like, he comes out to the playground and everybody's kind of like having a game, and he's like probably the best kickball player in the world, and they're kind of like, no, we've already chosen up the teams, Jungle. I'll play as well. Brilliant. Love him. Well, Blinov's found a hand here from the big blind as well, and it's Jungleman who's opened this pot with 6-7 suited.
They're like 20.
Alarm bells will be going off for me if he 3-bet here. He's just played so tight.
But still,
but look at their hands. They're just ace busters, aren't they, both of them? 7-6 suited, 10-8 suited.
So tilted I couldn't get to play this hand.
2,300 raise. Sit 1 pass.
Very disciplined is Jungleman. Trickett's laid it down. Well, if Rybin had the 8-10 of diamonds, you kind of feel like he's guaranteed to call. Let's see what Nelkin's
Yeah, he's only
That is
13k
mine.
deep, so it's quite tough to try and peel here.
Oh, you need a deeper stack.
Yeah, if you had 30k, you'd definitely peel, but this would be a bad call given the stack sizes.
Jungleman's kind of now slightly wishing he could have called.
Check.
And Blinov is giving Nelkin a little rope to hang himself. That's the
Yeah, I
idea.
don't mind check on that board.
Look at his face. Holy cow. It looks like he's seen a ghost. Talk about a Hollywood job. It looks like he's trying to be, it looks like he's so confused, he doesn't even know what
Yeah,
country he's in. Only aces full for Nikolay Blinov, and Jungleman has no idea how close he came to just being stacked off.
Yeah.
But perhaps an early indication from us here, Ben, that Nelkin now, he's kind of been doing his money in a couple of ways which he's not going to feel delighted about.
We started off good.
It does always seem like that, though, in these big games. You kind of like, it's just the appetizer the first couple hours, and then everybody just seems to forget where they are
500 raise.
and just start gambling. But Nelkin has gone very low here. He's only got about 4K in front of him. I don't believe he's topped up.
He should shove, I think.
Sit 6, 1,500.
Can you shove in a cash game with the same kind of hands you can shove in a tournament?
Well, the guy's gone 600, so he's only got 4k. I'd definitely shove there. The 3-bet just looks insanely strong if you've got less than the pot back on the flop.
Right. Rybin will have a little go, and the way things have been going for Nelkin, you kind of half expect to see a 9 here on the flop.
Yeah.
9 high.
Or some kind of 5, 6, 7.
Check. Check.
That's a funny sort of play. He has to be sort of mentally committed to going all in, right?
Yeah.
He's got about a pot-sized bet back.
He's done this to himself. He's done this to himself.
Check.
Oh,
if he shoves now, I'm just going to burst into tears.
Check.
Yeah, but he's going to call the all-in on the river anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
$2,000 bet. 6-5. Sit 5.
Well, he's bet 2,000. I mean, Nelkin's played this hand in a very odd way to fold the river. Maybe he just is just feeling a bit negative overall.
Call.
And he'll be sick about that. Did he miss a bet on the flop?
Definitely.
Or is it kind of an okay way to play?
What happened here?
Oh,
Yeah, he should bet the flop.
Oh, he looks like he wants to crawl into bed.
Come on, 9 and fold.
I kind of think having Robert Peltekci laugh at you isn't really helping matters.
Temperatures are rising in Big Game Season 7. We're back for more from Cyprus after the break.
We are in beautiful northern Cyprus, a hidden gem. Big gambling, 5-star resort, and a big game on tap. Alexey, Rybin, and Sam Trickett, the winners right now, but it's all still small numbers compared to what they will be playing for as the stacks get deeper and the night goes late.
Pass.
Does feel like this game needs a couple straddles or at least a round of shots or something like that. Maybe some new blood. You never know, though. Sometimes things just break out.
Hasn't been any callers either in the last hour or so.
800 raise.
Sam Trickett from the straddle, which is now kind of the button position. And I think he's just got Peltekci coming along with the 2 5s. Could be tricky for Peltekci to play this out of position.
For a raise on my left. 7-3 is a good hand right now.
Well, Sam's at least outflopped him.
Check. Check.
Why would he check that back? Doesn't make any sense to you?
No, no, no.
Maybe it's is it because if it's king queen or king deuce, would it make more sense?
So Trickett's bet the turn, right?
Yeah. It seems like Robert Peltekci is very suspicious of Sam here. Maybe he feels like, does he feel like that Trickett would have bet sort of ace high on the flop, so it's unlikely he hit the turn? Is that kind of the...
Did he go check on the flop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really doesn't want to give it up, does he?
Call.
Check.
Checks in the dark.
Check.
And Trickett trying to figure out the best amount that he can get paid off for. He'll be pretty confident his hand is good here. He's in about 99% confident.
5,600
Oh, that's a bomb. He's bet 1.5 times the pot there. And now this is all Sam Trickett. This is the image he creates. 99% of the poker players in the world, Peltekci wouldn't have even called the turn with 3 overcards. There's 4 overcards up there now. And somehow he's looking over at Sam Trickett and he's just thinking to himself, it's Trickett.
I can only beat a bluff, bro.
Good news.
Yeah.
What do you have? Ace 10. No, not that good.
Queen
9.
Barely bigger than a deuce. Barely bigger than a pair of deuce. I still think I should call.
Well, is he on a right line of thinking anyway? I mean, or do you think Sam has just played this to sort of mystify him?
Yeah, it's something I do. If you bet over the pot, people always think it's a bluff for some reason.
He really wants to call. Guy's gonna be sick.
I think I'm good, bro. I really do. I should call you.
He's not saying anything now. Oh, you want to talk him into it.
Huh?
Just
want to see one?
He's gonna find out soon.
Yeah, you'll find out later.
Well, maybe not.
Why, bro? Let me see it.
I'll show you one, like I said.
I'm good, right? Let me see the other.
I said I'll show you one.
Please let me see the other.
I said
Please let me see the other.
I said I'll show you one.
Come on,
I mean, you
Sam.
can paint me if you want to see
Come
the
on,
other one,
Sam.
mate.
Do it, Sam. Come on, Sam. Come on, show it, Sam. Show it, bro. Come on, please.
You don't want to see it.
Oh my God. I was good, no?
I don't know. Feel bad.
I was good?
Robert, I think you okay.
I've never known Trickett show 2 cards. Never.
The internet, man.
Just wants to keep him guessing. Of course, with the delay in the live stream, Peltekci can
You know
dash
what I was
out in about
thinking?
10 minutes and find
maybe
out.
He re-raised with Jack 10. I'm looking, that's a straight. I'm trying to think of a million things could be.
Of course, it was 2 pair.
Wow, I was good for sure, Sam.
Not for sure.
What time were you?
Still 50-50.
Huh?
What time were you? Now?
When can we know about this? How we gonna find out?
Go to Mikey. Go to Mikey.
Mike, yeah, I'll ask my brother. See what he will find out.
I would just love it if you called him.
If I was Robert, when he shows the deuce, you know you beat because he's just trying to level you sort of thing.
Right.
2 soul reads.
No way.
You had pocket 5s, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pass.
I just didn't like that way over.
Pass.
Like, I didn't like the 5,000 something. It looked like you might have wanted me to call. I don't know.
I just deuces.
Set deuce. Maybe. Maybe not.
I'll tell you in 29 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I promise.
I think you had it, Sam.
600 raise.
I think I had him, man.
Of course, Dominik just
I think he had
knows, so
7
he's
deuce,
not
man.
saying
He was trying to
anything.
make a move. The 800 pre-flop didn't make sense. It was a 7 deuce, man.
He would have.
swear
No,
it
there's
was
no way
a
it's
7
7 deuce. There's no way it's 7 deuce. He would have showed it for sure. If he had
Showed
7.
it? Really?
Yeah, he would have. Pretty
Oh,
sure.
if he wasn't better than me, he would have showed it?
If he had 7 deuce, he would have showed it. I don't know if he had anything else, but if he had 7 deuce, he would have for sure showed it.
Jungleman's a weirdie. He's so funny. He's just like so sure about that. I don't know why.
That much better when they see exactly what you have.
Now we get half an hour.
I'll tell you what,
stewing.
Sam,
Half an hour.
if you had showed it and and I was good, then that's it. Somebody was gonna take 20K right now from me. Because I would have just been.
Check.
It's more fun when you show one. Keeps the conversation live.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's right about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I bet?
He overbet against me not long ago, and he just wouldn't tell me what he had. Like I folded a reasonable hand. I was talking to him for like a couple of hours about other things. He just would not tell me.
All these ones. Only like 7-1 or something.
Which makes me think it was a good fold.
Showing up very good odds.
Check.
Huh?
Wow, Blinov just does not look very interested in this hand. And Rybin's like, well, if you don't want it, I'll try it. But he's actually had the queen the whole time. Perfectly played. Induced the bluff. And I don't even know if Rybin's going to show it. You take it.
I don't have to show, right?
He's one of those guys, Nikolay Blinov, that he's difficult to play against because he just plays so passively that sooner or later, if you let your temper get the better of you, you just sort of, like Rybin, just to bluff kind of wildly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a great bluff. The board ran out like, was it ace, queen, 9, 5, 9? It didn't.
He doesn't look like he's ever given up a pot, though.
Yeah.
I think check call's a great line against those sort of players.
Straddle.
I mean, Nikolay Blinov, he looks like a guy who is probably one of the winners in the local game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think both of
Quite solid.
Yeah, Rybin and Blinov probably win in the local game. But like I said, the local game is unbelievable.
Pass.
Yeah, Trickett's gonna.
Pass.
He's gonna start shopping for a long-term rental here. 501,000's a big game.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, 5,100's a big game.
That's it. 5.
Call. Pass. Call.
I think you got to keep that down. I think you got to keep that down.
With Big Roger, you do kind of feel like no matter how much money he has, he's prepared to make it last him the rest of his life. Don't you know what I mean? Like, you know, it just looks like a guy who is really, really hard to get a chip off of.
Call. Pass.
So this is Rybin versus Trickett.
Yeah.
And Sam is kind of soft playing the 2-10s. Looks like Rybin's actually betting this 9 for value.
Yeah, it looks good if you're Rybin.
And if you're Trickett, you just call down even with the 3rd queen on board. There's no value for him ever in getting aggressive?
Rybin's got a lot of bluffs in his range, so yeah, he'll definitely just call.
Check out that card. Trickett's gotten rivered.
Rybin should go big.
Sure. I love the Did he check? Yeah, check.
Check. Showdown.
Yeah, that's not a good check.
They're both going to be sick. Rybin's checked because he's worried about getting check raised on the river?
Yeah, I don't like that.
1,000 more.
Bonus.
Turkish rules.
Maybe if
He
you bet
figures
it,
that,
you get it on
I mean,
more.
couldn't Sam have been calling along with the 9 as well?
Yeah, or even an underpair.
The partypoker.com Big Game Season 7 from the Marriott Crystal Cove Hotel and Casino continues after this. This has to be the most idyllic setting for the Party Poker Big Game yet. Whilst I catch the rays by the sea here in northern Cyprus, the action is hotting up in the casino as our players settle in to the big game.
Blinds here 50-100 with an optional 200 straddle. Most players buying in for $20,000.
Pass. 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 6-5. Call.
I think Peltekci is trying to build a little bit of an image. And it's not like he's inexperienced in the big cash game world. He runs around with the Mizrachi brothers, spends a lot of time at the tables in L.A. He's plays in the private home games. He's
3 players.
I think he's what they call a baller, supreme.
Yeah, he's definitely a baller. When you own a casino, you're clearly a baller.
Check. Check. Check.
So this was Alexey Rybin.
I think he limped.
He limped for the 200.
Check.
Not much happening then.
Trickett will lead this, yeah.
Sit 1. Bet. 700.
Well, we'll see what Blinov's up to. This is the first hand we've really seen him play. And he's got middle pair, sort of, and the nut flush draw. Would it be wrong to raise?
No, it wouldn't.
Sit 8. Raise. 1,008.
Probably better than calling.
Sit 1. Pass.
There you go, I lost the pot, didn't
There you go.
So Blinov showing he's got a bit of game too.
Because I haven't played one.
You like that, a guy who sits there for a couple hands, then comes in sort of check raising with the draw. Good sign, right?
Yeah, you got to work with your image, right?
I never catch anyways. So.
8 players, 5 of them ahead,
Pass.
I don't know.
and 3 behind.
Pass.
Deciding.
Come on, Big Raj, has he moved his chip yet?
Raise. 500.
That tournament.
I got a piece of that.
$5,300.
This is how you play in France. You just fold.
I have the feeling Big Raj is willing to sit here for like 5 days if necessary. He's sort of got that,
Pass.
you know, I can stay and play sort of aura about him.
I feel like as a professional poker player, I should have to play.
Yeah. Are you
But
serious?
what value is that there?
Sit 2. Call.
Nobody's going either because they can't be bothered.
First pot Nitsche's played here. He's in the straddle
obviously,
position.
no one will sell anyway. I'll probably
And
put, like,
Rybin's actually in a nice spot because he's played so many hands.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Obviously, he's
That's why
much.
I want to play myself too.
Yeah, I want to put people in that.
But
Check.
But I don't know anyone in the middle.
it's going to cost you like 10k though. To put someone in that, it costs 10k. If you like, well, for me, flying from England and what have you, and hotel,
Oh, really?
He's quite far. So.
Check.
Standard c-bet here with the queens. He's checked it back. You like that as well?
I wouldn't
Not on
stake
that
the
board,
try,
no.
Like, by action somehow.
I feel like
I mean, you could easily lose the hand now,
It's
whereas
hard to get
before.
a free roll in this kind of situation.
He probably just didn't want to get check raised
there's a
because
lot of variance.
he's in a horrible, horrible spot then.
But Nitsche almost always wins this if he goes, even if he misses, if he goes bet, it's pretty hard for Rybin to call, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should
but
just sort of.
10 million in
I think,
Florida. It's near
yeah, you
Florida.
should just
You
sort
go
of
to Disneyland
side bet.
afterwards. It's nice.
I heard that there was there were two.
Yeah, I think
two big
that's
games.
like
There's
definitely
big
a
game
mistake
out
to check that queen's there.
that everyone could get into, but it's not very good. And a lot of pros playing that game. And then there's like the private big game that only like the only person that plays in that is Tom, basically.
2 Russians there,
Yeah.
and there's
Kind of true.
a bit tight here early
Tom
on.
gets in all the good, like the best games.
How does he do it?
Especially around that side of the table.
This is great.
Yeah, but he's like just fishy enough to be like
600.
to be
Sam
like a
Trickett
winner,
relieved
but
to
he's
finally
like,
pick up something here.
Sit 3.
He's been playing
Call.
he like has a
quite
clue,
a few
doesn't he?
hands,
Like,
and now has a
Sit
premium
4.
pair.
Call. 600.
He just seems to win in all the big when the game
Three
gets big and
players.
lose when the game's small. It's like maybe he's a genius.
Maybe, I don't know. He's got the power.
Check.
Not the best flop for the
That's
jacks,
on you.
but it is the best
It's not on
hand.
you,
Oh,
Sam.
I didn't see your cards.
I'll check anyways.
Check.
Trickett acting out of turn, didn't realize Jungleman was in the hand. Sort of a role reversal from the Premier League when the Jungleman kept acting out of turn.
Yeah, he gets saying he gets in.
Check.
He's got,
He's
he's
checked
got the golden
around.
seat in.
Sit 4. Bet 1,300.
It's a clever check by Trickett on the flop because it's induced the bluff here from Daniel Cates. Really no way Trickett can think about folding here after the passive way he's played this on the flop.
Sit 1. Call. 1,300.
Of all the players at this table, it is Trickett and
Sit 3.
Cates who have
Pass.
the deepest TV relationship anyway. They've played lots of hands together. And they're friends off the table, but on it, they really tie each other in knots. Let's see if Cates wants to go again. He usually does. He's not a man to shrink from the bluff opportunity when there's money out there.
Sit 4. Bet 2,100. Sit 1. Call.
No one has a style
they got.
quite
Shut
like
down, please.
Jungleman, but caught bluffing
lose
here.
to a pair of queens.
I don't have a queen.
You don't have a queen? No way. Oh, I got this.
Sam says you're not getting off that easy, Jan.
He definitely
Show me the cards if you
that
want to
was a
see
bad
mine.
How did he do it?
Welcome back. One of the unique features of the big game is the player evictions. The online viewers get the chance to boot off their least favorite player from the table, and that first eviction is coming up soon. Let's head back to the action.
Only a few hours in here to the Party Poker Big Game 7 alongside Ben Carpenter. And Ben, who have you been most impressed with so far?
Probably Trickett, just the usual suspect really. Trickett, Jungleman. Nitsche's been pretty tight, but he's picked his spots well.
The three of them seem like they're playing kind of flawless in a sense, but in their own style, right? No?
Yeah, yeah, they're all playing well.
I want to see a flop.
I mean, Sam seems to be the kind of guy, for me, who he plays sort of a wide open game, so a couple of the plays look questionable, but maybe he creates, use that to create an image or something?
Yeah, that's his image. Yeah, when he gets a hand, he's gonna get stacks, and I think that's the right way to play in these sort of games. I mean, apart from those three players, this is quite a soft table, so that is the right way to play, I think.
Sit 4. Call. 800.
Call.
Sit 5. Call.
Good bluff, Dominik.
Yeah. Sorry, I just keep on thinking.
Meanwhile, I think Blinov just limped here with he limped here with the 2 kings.
800.
That's something they all seem to do in Cyprus. Limp raise big pairs like all the time.
Well, he's got the whole field here because Nitsche's raised up the 8s on the button.
Yeah, he's face up now. Like when he raises, face up.
Completely for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And for everyone else.
I mean, I'm like, in people limp, I'm like min raising just to see if they re-raise me, so, and I just completely can wipe out big pairs out of their range here.
And for a guy like Nitsche, is there any value in set mining here?
They're all the same.
See the stats.
Blinov's got about 17,000. They're both effectively.
If
actually Dominik's only got 12.
No, definitely not. If Dominik's got that. If Dominik had more, then maybe.
In Dominik's mind, could Blinov ever be doing this with Ace King, and you want to try and shove to isolate, or is that a bit?
It's ambitious. He's more likely to have a big pair.
He's a little suspicious. Or do you think this is just sort of measured dwelling before the pass?
I think he's genuinely tanking. I think he's thinking about shoving. Yeah, it's a pretty easy pass, I think.
Kind of a play that you might make in a tournament, but in a cash game, shoving for 10,000 with 2 8s just seems a bit silly, right?
Against that play, I would, if I had jacks there, I would have snap folded. It's just like.
So Blinov, he's had aces twice and now kings, and he's really struggling to get action, isn't he? He's too funny, Jungle.
Oh.
What's up? What is up with that?
I mean, that's what they do. There's always somebody calling.
Well, is it also, is there possibility that he knew that if he called, Rybin would come in, because Rybin just calls all the time?
Yeah, this is.
Or is it still a really?
This is mathematically bad, I think.
If you're Kates.
If you're Kates or if you're Rybin.
800 was too much for my hand.
Yeah.
Way too much.
He's only got 17 behind. So.
I wish I had aces so bad.
So awesome.
So 3-way to the flop, 8,800 in, and is this welcome to the jungle?
No. So his next story be I had ace deuce. The flat was 5-3-3.
Well, Blinov's got 17K effectively. Does he want to, how much does he want to bet? Is he?
I would be like
half pot or more?
Something, yeah.
To call it, to call.
Yeah, of course. You can never, ever fold. But if you Kates, like, you call with ace-2, that's a reasonable flop. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, if you fold, what was the point in calling? But if you play, it's math bad. Like, it's always got a big pair. So that's why I hate the pre-flop call. Or with Rybin, like, if it's 10-3-3, what's he going to do, you know?
Sit-8 bet. 1,900. 1,900.
Oh, he's really underbet this pot.
Yeah, I think
he's bet 2,000 into 9.
Wow.
Pass.
What you got going on there, buddy?
Pass.
It was a really small bet. Do you think the bet was so small
How did he
that?
just call after me? Wow. Good job. Good play, man.
Thank you.
Very nice.
patted him on the head.
It was such a small bet that you kind of feel like Daniel was getting priced in.
Yeah, actually.
A bit, yeah. And when he bets 1,900 again, he's pretty much never bluffing. So.
No, I didn't have 6-7 of diamonds. It's better than that. I just really thought he had it. He did have it.
He started off rather well, Alexey Rybin, and he hasn't let up. Still the big winner here, but 3 players falling off the cliff right now. Big Raj, Robert Peltekci, and Alexander Nelkin, who has had a rough go of late.
No idea what you're talking about.
And his shirt needs a dark closet.
Did it go down?
Huh?
Do you have a pair? No pair.
I don't care.
No, he wouldn't hold the pair. Ace Jack of diamonds.
I would have absolutely called a pair.
Yeah. That's where it's at.
This is the Party Poker Big Game 7. We still have all 8 in the original lineup. Couple hours in. And there is an eviction looming.
Sit 2 raise 600.
Oh, is that mine? Is that mine?
Sit 3 raise 1200.
And is this a 3-bet from Roger?
Clicked it back, yeah.
He clicked it. The min 3-bet. He's gonna hate this. You kind of feel bad. It's almost like everything Big Roger has done just doesn't work. Although in a cash game, Ben, Ace King has a much different value than in a tournament, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is fairly standard for you that Dominik Nitsche should just push?
Yeah. If he has got 5k.
Any sense that Dominik's a little worried that Big Raj would only do this with big pairs? Is there any value at all in calling here if you're Dominik? Not really.
If he's got a 5k stack, yeah, I think you have to raise. But if he's deeper, then maybe, yeah, maybe you can call.
Didn't expect that. Dominik didn't shove. He actually re-clicked it back just about. Jeez, I don't think I've ever seen a 22-year-old lose a flip before.
Wait for it.
How much?
Nice hand, Roger.
Double up for Big Roger, Hairabedian. Big Raj back in the game. And for Dominik Nitsche, well, now he's going to be the one on the short stack. Sort of in the scheme of the big game. Doesn't really feel like that big a pot.
Nah.
7,350.
Big names are in action as we play out the world's most famous cash game. Unique to the big game is the player evictions. Previously, players have voted against each other in a secret ballot, but this time round, it's exclusively down to the online viewers. They're voting for who they would like to keep in the game, and the player with the least amount of votes will be sent packing. Well, waiting in the wings to replace whoever is our first eviction is the grinder, Michael Mizrachi.
Michael's going to be stepping into the big game very soon when a player is eliminated. You've had a look at the lineup. How does it match up to some of the cash games you've played in?
Well, I mean, it seems like, a fair amount, some good players, some, inexperienced players, but I don't know the lineup really well. I know a few guys that play with more tournament, not a cash game style, so, but it's no limit Holdem. Everyone can play no limit Holdem. It's pretty much the easiest game to play now. The new game now is probably open-faced pineapple Chinese.
You heard it here first. That's the new one. You'll be playing it kind of between hands then, get the game going.
Well, I would like to have side action, but I don't know if any of those guys play. But I'll find out.
You could teach them, I'm sure. Good luck.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much.
We do have a history of surprising evictions in the big game.
That makes a lot. So it's just a min race then? I don't know. Boom. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
Who would you vote for, Jesse?
Stay on.
Yeah, Jungle.
Jungle.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course,
and then Sam. But I mean, for me, I'd enjoy watching Jungleman play heads up against a mop. Just to see what strategy he would employ.
Oh, Nelkin's got ace king. This could be a good spot for him. I think if he manages to lose this hand, he's finished. He's definitely gone.
So, kind of an interesting. I mean, Rogers opened up for sort of a 300, and
Cates has clicked it.
Yeah.
And then
little
Rybin's
small
called.
3-bet.
It's going to make it like 28 or something.
It's not assumed that Daniel Cates has 2 7s here, right? He'd be more likely to actually do this with kind of a 6-7 or something like that, or 7-8, wouldn't he? Than 2 7s.
I'm not even going to guess with Jungleman.
There's some big hands here.
Yeah.
Nelkin
Yeah,
with
standard fold. Yeah.
this little trickier for Big Raj.
Pass.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
so
what you'd
a lot
expect
of
from
credit
him.
there.
Yeah.
And for Nelkin, give me the money. Oh, excuse me, Rybin's still involved.
Yeah, now if that was Sam, he would have made it a bit smaller. He could have induced 4 bets and stuff.
Quite easy to see how, at this high level, how difficult it is to get action unless you give action. $4,000 added on by Robert Peltekci. Voting's going to be closing very soon for this first big Game 7 eviction.
Pass. Pass.
Got a table 4 nuts.
Pass.
Who's going to be next out? Who's going to stay in, more importantly? There's new blood waits in the wings. Fresh money for this Party
Take.
Poker Big
Raise
Game 7.
200. Pass.
Really still just easing into it here. I think there was sort of promises of fireworks early, but I'm certainly going to have them late.
Raise 550.
I think you're right. Get them all a Patreon or something. Get the game going.
In the last, I guess his last 2 big games, perhaps, that Jungleman's played in, he's gotten buried straight off. In Vienna, he lost about 80,000.
It can happen when you know you're better than people. You know, you try things that.
He got bluffed out by Tony G and Phil Locke.
Oh dear.
I think he was probably a bit unlucky as well. So Dominik peeling off the flop here. And let's see if Blinov puts out the C-bet or if he's just going to shut down.
It's a good flop to C-bet.
It's a 2-bet. 475.
Is this a nice... Well, this is going to work, isn't it?
Is that a lead out or
Yeah,
a
it's
C-bet?
a dunk, in fact. And he's gonna go for it, Nikolay, isn't he?
People hate folding to these tiny donk bets.
Pass.
Dominik Nitsche picking up a pot he was not really entitled to.
Dominik, what's the rationale behind it?
Straddle?
How much do you want me to make it? 600? 500? Which
I
one?
like simple numbers, like 600.
I'll keep it simple for you.
Thank you.
Sit for raise 300. Sit 5 call.
A lot of great Jungleman stories out there. He even makes fun of himself. One of the things that he's become quite famous for, Jungleman, is his penchant for pistachio ice cream. You didn't know about that?
No, I don't know that.
Am I giving myself away? I read too much of this stuff on the internet, don't I?
Even if I had aces, I wouldn't play the hand.
Liar.
No, I wouldn't.
Again, like Rybin with A7 off.
I work there, I
That's
wouldn't
just
do that.
not for me, you know.
Did you use half order?
I think because my hand is not live. I'm not.
He's just
in my
eager,
sleep, right?
very eager to get in with all kinds of cards, isn't he?
Big Roger's got kings.
Cash game.
This is going in against Cates, I think.
No. Then I should have raised.
Probably should have.
Sit 3 raise.
So Daniel's open to 300 from the straddle position.
Cates remembers the King 10 hand, you know, where he had Jack 8, so I definitely think this is going in.
It's a big re-raise, though, isn't it? I mean, he's re-raised
4x.
300 up to 21.
Wow, yeah.
Sit 4 call.
Wow, that's discipline.
sort of the idea maybe that Jungleman just he's just always looking for another way, even when it looks like there's only one possible option.
Obviously.
And he's outflopped the kings. Poor Roger.
Check.
He got outflopped with the jacks. Now he's gotten outflopped with the kings. Is he going to do his money here?
Bet. 2200.
He just sort of invites confusion, Jungleman. That check on the flop has now gotten Roger leading out on the turn. Is Jungleman nearly convinced he has the best hand, or completely convinced he has the best hand?
Closer to completely. I would call personally and let him just bet the river. If you raise, it's just super confusing. It's something you'd probably expect Jungle to do.
Well, Roger's got about 8,000 back. Does Jungleman get the money no matter what, whether he raises or calls?
Shoving wouldn't be that bad. It would look so weak.
Call.
Roger is now definitely going to check the river, right? No, is it kind of two ways?
He could either bet small and fold or check call. Yeah, all the draws missed as well, so. I think if he bets small, he'll... How much does he bet?
3,300.
Third pot. And Jungleman's never folding it. This is obviously between raising and calling.
Yeah.
Well, we know there's value in raising. Or is there?
I think he's going to shove.
It is kind of an odd defensive bet for Raj, because when he gets raised here by Jungleman,
that's the right thing to do.
Doesn't he kind of half start to tell himself that it could be up against a flush or a straight draw? I mean, is it possible that Jungleman could have played the, Queen Jack of spades or the 9-10 of diamonds this way?
That's why he's so good. You just never can know.
He really hates it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's calling, isn't he? Because it's Jungleman. He's calling because it's Jungleman.
Of
course he is.
I'll bet that he folds if you want to have a bet.
Okay, I'll bet you the next coffee. Oh my! You absolutely know for sure he's folding. Oh! I think that's the first time you've ever been wrong. You just don't know the power of the jungle, do you?
Yeah. It's fine. He can't be bluffing there. He was too old to call. How can he call that?
$100. You take my entire salary away. And now, how does Big Raj feel right now? He feels
like he's been owned.
He feels like he's been owned.
He had such good odds, but that's probably the reason why Jungle's never bluffing. I mean, if he's got like 20k behind, I even think it's more of a call, because he just can't be bluffing there. He looks sick.
He does, because he tried everything possible to be able to get away from that hand, didn't he? And there was just no way out. Have a look at the profit and loss. Big Raj now the big loser in the big game. I wonder if the fact that Dominik Nitsche has such a short stack, could that convince people they don't want him on the big game anymore? Nah.
Nah, I think he's rebuying.
Yeah. Top up for Big Roger Hairabedian, $10,000 on top. And he looks like he means business to get it back. Let's go down to Kara on the floor with our first eviction.
We're just a few hours here into the big game in Cyprus, and it's already time for the first eviction. The online viewers have been voting for the players that they want to save at the table, and I can now reveal to you the name of the player with the fewest votes who will be evicted from the big game is Alexey Rybin.
Oh, that's terrible.
What?
No way.
How could you do this? How could you do this to Alexey Rybin? Are you crazy? Ben,
That's a shock.
he's like one of the most exciting players, don't you think? And the big winner to boot. Very unpopular with the table.
Oh my God. Wow. Can we boo them or something?
Boo! They're like, let's ruin the game for these people.
And to be fair, Ben, this is one of the arguments against democracy. We're going to have a small break for the players. We'll be back in 5 minutes with our new player, Alexey Rybin. Money off the table, and perhaps he'll be back in the big Game 7. We've had our first player eviction, but that's just the beginning of the story. Plenty more to come. Big pots, bad beats. From Northern Cyprus here, the Merritt Crystal Cove and the Party Poker Big Game 7.